So what is happening in the South Florida real estate market as of the end of April 2025? Today, I'm going to give you the most recent market statistics for Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, just like I do every single month. We're going to compare March to April in 2025, and we're going to compare April 24 to April 25 so that you can be fully informed about what to do in this residential real estate environment if you're thinking about buying or selling or renting, or if you're a real estate agent and you want to get educated so that you can be a better resource for your customers. Okay, here we go. Median single family home price point in April of 2025 did increase 1.8%, just shy of 2%. From March to April. Okay, so there was a slight increase from March to April. If you've been watching my content, you know that we've been more or less bouncing slightly up and down in a range of 1% to 2% since the beginning of the year. By the way, I'm shooting this at the end of May 2025. We get the data about a month in arrears, so now we're reporting that data to you. From April of 2024 to now 2025, we did see a slight increase in the median single family home price point of 1%. So today, the single family home price point, $651,666. Here's what I like about the trend is that we're seeing some relative stability. 1% year over year, 1.8% month over month, but it was down approximately 1.8% from February to March. And so we're starting to see a stabilization of pricing, which is a good thing because now we've got some clarity on kind of the direction of the market values. And so if you're a seller or if you're a buyer, it's good information to know that we've got a relatively stable price point market. Time to contract and time to sale also flat, both month over month and year over year. 40 days time to contract. So if you're putting your house on the market, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's going to be about 40 days until you go under contract. Again, this is Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. And time to sale is 79 days, so about 80 days to get your home sold. So as you're contemplating putting your house on the market, you want to make a plan for, okay, how long is it going to take? Now, these are averages based on a very large number of transactions over a relatively large geographic area, but it's going to give you some guideposts when you're considering the timing for putting your house on the market to contract and to sale. New listings were also flat, so we didn't see any increase in inventory from month over month. But we did see a very relatively significant increase in inventory year over year, about 36% increase year over year. We're now sitting at 17,000 single family homes on the market in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. I'm going to go into the month supply in a minute. Just a slight increase month over month. So we're not seeing more houses come on the market, and we're seeing about the same pace of sales as we did a month or so ago, but there will be a marked difference as compared to a year ago. Okay, condos, townhomes, villas, a whole nother category. About the same in terms of pricing. We actually saw a 1.6% increase in the median condo, townhome, villa price point month over month. From 342,000, we're now sitting at 348,000 at the end of April. And that is a slight decrease from April of 2024, which we were at 355,000. So again, that's stability in pricing. We saw a slight increase month over month, but a slight decrease year over year. So again, we're starting to stabilize and even out from a pricing perspective at the medians for both single families and the condo, townhome, and villa category. We are seeing it's taking longer, however, for condos, townhomes, and villas to both go under contract and close as compared to a year ago. Almost 35% longer to contract, about 12% longer to sale, 57 days to contract. So that's significantly longer than a single family house, and 94 days to close if you have a condo, townhome, or villa in the Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County market. Pending sales, now this is an interesting statistic. We did see a reduction in the number of transactions in condos and townhomes and villas from March to April, about 6%. And we are seeing a significant slowdown in the number of transactions closed pending from a year over year. We're about 20% slower, or 20% less, the number of homes, condo, townhomes, and villas that are getting sold and going under contract. Good news is new listings relatively down, but the total number of listings month over month was flat. But year over year is a significant increase, about a 37% increase from April of 2024. We're at 33,888, almost 39,000 condos, townhomes, and villas on the market in the Tri-County area. You add the 17,700 single family homes. What's that? We're about 52,000 properties on the market right now. That's at least at the end of April. Again, I'm shooting this here at the end of May. 52,000 properties. Now you might say to me, Adam, that's a lot of property on the market. Well, let's talk about the months of supply, which is really going to be if no new properties came on the market at the current rate of sale, how long would it take us to sell all the properties? So for single family homes, in 2024, we were at about 4.2 months of supply, which means, again, if no new properties came on, it would have taken about 4 months to sell everything. We're now at 6 months in 2025. That's a significant increase, about a 40% increase in the amount of supply we have available at the current rate of sell. Condos and townhomes is a much more significant increase. 2024, we were at 7.5 months. We're now at 12 months of supply to sell everything that's currently on the market at the current rate of sale. And so even though some condos are selling, like I said, in that time to contract and time to close time periods in days, right, less than 3 months essentially, to sell everything we've got on the market, if nothing new would come on, it's going to take a year to sell your condo, and it's going to take 6 months to sell all the houses. So that's meaningful, right? Because now we've got to get through all this inventory, and there has been a significant slowdown in overall demand here in the South Florida market. Now, we're still selling lots of property. I mean, as a brokerage with over 100 real estate sales professionals, we're still selling quite a lot of property. But we have seen a shift from what was at one time a very, very strong seller's market. You're talking about 1 to 2 months of supply, which means properties were just moving quick. Okay, demand was super strong, and of course pricing was accelerating during that time. Higher demand, less supply, price goes up, basic economics. Here we've got kind of the opposite, where we've got for single families, we're at 6 months, which is leaning now more towards a buyer's market. Okay, a stable market's going to be 3-4 months, 5 months. More of a buyer's market now is 6 months, which is really kind of what we're looking at in single family homes, and most certainly 12 months of supply for condos, townhomes, and villas is a buyer's market for sure. And so what does that mean for you if you're a home seller or a home buyer? Now, if you're a home seller, what it means is you've got to be very strategic about your pricing strategy. You got to make sure you're coming to the market with a property that is going to be attractive to a buyer for its condition, for its location. But the number one thing that sells property, you may not want to hear this, but it is always true, is price. And price is simply a reflection of condition and location and the actual offering, right? Bedrooms, bathrooms, relative to the comparable properties in that neighborhood or in that geographic area. And so if you're a home seller, as always, I recommend, we are a professional organization. 90% of all real estate transactions do work with home sellers, home buyers work with a real estate agent. So I strongly encourage you to do that so you can get some good strategy, some good pricing, get your house in the best showing condition possible. And what it means is you've got to be strategic, you've got to be patient, and you've got to be willing to trust your real estate advisor to help guide you through the process. These are not the days where we're going to be pushing price to the highest price point we've seen. I think we've kind of eclipsed that period. Now, I'm not suggesting that you as a home seller should not want all the money possible for your home. Of course you should. Every single home seller wants that. The flip side of it, though, is that you've got buyers and their goal is to pay the least amount they possibly can. And so somewhere in there, we got to make a deal. And so if you're committed to selling, this is a marketplace where if you're going to sell your home, you got to be committed to selling, because you're otherwise going to waste time, effort, energy, money, resources, brain power, and end up essentially just keeping your house. And so it's important that you have a good strategy. It's important that you have good consultative advisory from a professional. All right, if you're a buyer, what does all of this mean? It means you've got a lot more choices now. It means that the marketplace allows you to be more competitive with your offers. You can be a little bit more patient with your shopping. Certainly different than the seller's market that we had, of 21 and 22. And so it's a good market now if you're a buyer and you're buying for long term, right? I always suggest to people that when they're buying real estate, minimum 5-year time horizon, if not 10. And that's generally the time period, depending on which part of the life cycle you're in. But 10 years tends to be somewhat of an average time period that people move. Some can be less if you're younger or older. Really, we see people living in their homes for the longest period when they're in that second home, raising their families. They tend to stay for a longer period, even longer than 10 years. Okay. I hope this has been helpful. I gave you a lot of data, and what I encourage you to do, as always, is before you go out into the marketplace and start to transact and interact, get hooked up with a great professional, someone who understands the market, someone who understands this kind of pricing, this kind of understanding of the data, and someone who's going to be able to listen to what your needs and wants are and then guide you properly to make sure you make a great decision. As always, thanks for watching.